We all know the image. A figure clad head to toe in a sleek black suit, only their eyes visible through a slit in the mask. They move like a ghost, able to scale walls, walk on water, and throw shining metal stars with deadly accuracy. They are masters of magic, meditation, and murder, the ultimate super spy of the ancient world. This is the ninja of popular culture, a character as fantastical as the wizards and samurai that share his world. But like all enduring legends, the ninja is rooted in a reality that is in many ways even more fascinating than the fiction. The true story of the shinobi, one who sneaks in, is not one of supernatural powers, but of human ingenuity, incredible adaptability, and the brutal pragmatism of Japan's age of civil war. They were silent, they were deadly, and they were very, very real. This is the story of those shadow warriors. It is a journey into the mountains of Iga and Koga, onto the bloody battlefields of the Sengoku period, and into the secret manuals that finally reveal the truth behind the myth. Our first step in separating fact from fiction begins with a simple word, ninja. Believe it or not, the historical agents of feudal Japan would not have recognized this term. It is, in many ways, a modern invention. In their own time, these men and women were called shinobi no mono, or simply shinobi. The word is composed of characters that mean to steal away, to hide, and to endure. It perfectly describes their function. People who operated in the shadows endured tremendous hardship and stole information from the enemy. Other colorful regional nicknames existed as well. They were sometimes called kusa, grass, monomi, one who sees, or iga mono, a person from Iga, reflecting their deep connection to specific regions of Japan. The ninja did not appear fully formed from the mists of legend. They were a product of their time, a brutal, chaotic era known as the Sengoku period, 15th, 17th centuries. This was an age of constant war, where feudal lords or daimyo fought relentlessly for land and power. The uncivilized warriors in this world, the samurai, was the noble warrior class. Bound by a strict code of honor later known as bushido, the ideal samurai was expected to fight openly and proudly, to declare his name before battle, and to value honor above all else. But in the grim reality of total war, honor didn't win battles. Information and surprise did. This created a need for a different kind of warrior. Someone who was willing to get their hands dirty, to sneak into a castle under the cover of darkness, to start a fire in the enemy's camp, or to spread misinformation among the troops. These tasks were considered beneath the dignity of a samurai. They were, in the eyes of the noble class, dishonorable. And so, the demand for mercenaries who could perform these dishonorable tasks was born. From this need, the shinobi emerged. The mountain strongholds of Iga and Koga, while individual spies had existed for centuries, the shinobi as a professional, organized group largely came from two specific remote regions. Iga province and the adjacent Koka district, now part of Shiga prefecture, nestled in rugged, inaccessible mountains, these areas became strongholds for families of jisamurai, elite peasant warriors who were not part of the traditional samurai hierarchy. These communities formed independent leagues, or iki, to govern and defend themselves. Over generations, they developed a unique culture and a specialized set of skills in guerrilla warfare, espionage, and survival, which they began to sell to the highest bidder. They became known as the best in the business, and soon the names Iga Mono and Koga Mono became synonymous with the shadowy arts. The ninja organizations particularly in Iga and Koga, developed a distinct hierarchy to manage their clandestine operations. It was not unlike a modern intelligence agency. Jonin, upper man. These were the leaders and managers. They did not go into the field. Instead, they negotiated contracts with daimyo, managed finances, and planned large-scale intelligence operations. Chunin, middleman, the supervisors and team leaders. They were responsible for recruiting the right agents for a mission, gathering intelligence from field operatives, and ensuring the plan was executed correctly. Jinin, lower man. These were the foot soldiers of the shadow world. Drawn from the lower classes, they were the ones who infiltrated castles, stole documents, and performed the dangerous work of sabotage. They were the agents on the ground. If the ninja were not magic-wielding wizards, how did they perform their incredible feats? The answer lies in ninjutsu, the art of stealth, a practical curriculum of skills focused on survival, infiltration, and information gathering. Spies first, assassins second, the primary role of a shinobi was intelligence gathering. Kancho. A general going into battle needed to know the landscape, the layout of the enemy castle, the strength of its garrison, and the mood of its people. It was the shinobi's job to find these things out. Assassination was a very rare mission, loud, risky, and likely to get the agent killed. It was far more valuable to keep a skilled general alive but know all his plans, than to kill him and face a successor whose tactics were unknown. The master of disguise. Forget the black pajamas. The last thing a spy wants is to stand out. A shinobi's most important tool was his ability to blend in. He would study the local dialect, customs, and dress. To gather information, he might disguise himself as a farmer working in the fields, a traveling monk who had freedom to move anywhere, a merchant, or even an entertainer. If a mission required moving at night, he would likely wear dark blue or brown, colors that blended into the night better than solid black, which could actually stand out as an unnatural silhouette. Tools of an unconventional trade, the shinobi arsenal was filled with multi-purpose tools, often adapted from everyday items to avoid suspicion. The myth of the ninja star, the shuriken, literally sword hidden in the hand, was not a primary weapon. It was a distracting tool. A spent knife. A fleeing shinobi might throw one to slow down a pursuer, or use it to create a diversion, but he wouldn't stop to fight a duel with it. The kunai, originally a simple gardening or masonry trowel, the kunai was a perfect multi-tool. It could be used to dig climbing holes in a wall, pry open a door, or, in a desperate situation, as a weapon. Makibishi. These were small, sharp-spiked devices, caltrops, that a shinobi would scatter behind him as he fled. Pursuers on foot or horseback would step on them, causing severe pain and ending the chase. Silent sandals. To move undetected, shinobi would craft special footwear. Ashiko were iron climbing claws for scaling walls, while tagiri were special sandals designed to leave no distinctive footprints and muffle the sound of footsteps. Ingenuity as a weapon. The shinobi were masters of using the environment. Ninja manuals detail techniques like using a trained bird to carry a flaming fuse to an enemy-thatched roof, creating floating seats from reeds to cross a moat silently, and using various poisons and blinding mixtures for self-defense. The history of the ninja is intertwined with two of Japan's most famous figures, one real and one legendary. Hattori Hanzo, the samurai of shadows. The most famous ninja of all, Hattori Hanzo, was actually a samurai. The name Hattori Hanzo was a title passed down through generations of the Hattori family, but it was the first, Hattori Hanzo I, 1542-1596, who earned the legendary status. Born into a samurai family from Iga, he was a brilliant military commander and strategist. His greatest service was to the man who would unite Japan, Tokugawa Ieyasu. When Ieyasu's enemies conspired to assassinate him, it was Hattori Hanzo who led a force of Iga shinobi to guide him to safety through enemy territory. For this and other services, Hanzo became Ieyasu's trusted bodyguard and the captain of his ninja guard. He was a warrior and a leader, a man of action whose life was one of service, not shadowy magic. Tokugawa Ieyasu, the master of unification, Tokugawa Ieyasu was a master of realpolitik. He understood the value of intelligence better than anyone. He actively recruited shinobi from Iga and Koga, and he studied their manuals. One of these, the Gunpo Jiyoshu, was a collection of military tactics that included 3 scrolls specifically on shinobi warfare, and he enthusiastically promoted its use. After decades of war, Ieyasu finally united Japan under the Tokugawa shogunate in 1603. For the ninja, this was a double-edged sword. The peace was a relief, but it also meant their primary market, war, had dried up. Some found work as bodyguards for the new regime, while others were absorbed into a secret service of sorts, tasked with spying on the remaining rival lords. But the great age of the shinobi was over. With peace, the need for secrecy faded, but the curiosity did not. In the 17th and 18th centuries, former shinobi or their descendants began to write down their knowledge. Manuals like the Bansen Shukai, 1676, were created, compiling centuries of wisdom on espionage, guerrilla warfare, and survival. These books, often based on Chinese military philosophy like Sun Tzu's The Art of War, are our greatest source of historical truth about the ninja. From stagehand to superhero, as the samurai class was dissolved and Japan modernized in the late 19th century, the ninja found a new life in entertainment. It was in the kabuki theater that the iconic all-black costume was born. Stagehands, who moved props and assisted actors, wore black to be invisible to the audience. When plays began to feature shinobi characters, they were dressed in the same way, visually signaling to the audience that this character was a stealthy, unseen presence. The association stuck. Over the next century, this theatrical image fused with folk tales and the superhuman deeds described in historical novels, creating the modern legend. The practical spy was gradually replaced by a mythical figure who could disappear in a puff of smoke, run on water, and read minds. The 20th century ninja boom. The 1950s and 60s saw a ninja boom in Japan, with historical novels and films portraying them as action heroes. This wave crashed onto global shores with the 1967 James Bond film You Only Live Twice, which introduced the word ninja to the world and cemented the image of the martial arts super spy. From there, the ninja's pop culture dominance was secured, influencing everything from Hollywood action films to cartoons like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and anime like Naruto. The ninja of our imagination, the black-clad, star-throwing, magic-wielding assassin, is a myth. But the real shinobi of feudal Japan were, in many ways, more impressive. They were not supernatural, but they were exceptional. They were ordinary people who developed extraordinary skills of observation, survival, and adaptability. They were intelligence officers, guerrilla fighters, and masters of psychological warfare who understood that a battle won with information was far better than one won with a sword. They were pragmatic, ingenious, and resilient. Today, scholars at places like Mi University's Ninja Research Center continue to study the historical reality, translating the old manuals and piecing together the true story. The last known direct link to this world, Fujita Seiko, a 14th generation master of Koga ninjutsu, died in 1966, just as the pop culture ninja was being born. The ninja's journey from a shadow warrior of the feudal age to a global pop culture icon is a testament to the power of storytelling. And yet, when we strip away the myths and look at the historical record, the truth is just as compelling, a story of human skill, courage, and cunning, hidden in the shadows, waiting to be found.